The shooter is a PlayStation 1 and 2 light gun with pump-action handle and rumble-based force feedback. It was distributed by companies such as Yobo, Heis and Wild Things. There was an Xbox version of the controller which was called Boss Battle. Personally, I own the orange Yobo and the black Wild Things versions. Even though I got the Yobo new in box, this unit is faulty and causes video interferences as soon as I connect its RCA cable. Therefore, I did the majority of testing with the Wild Things gun. I will mostly film the bright Yobo variant though, as this way the camera will pick up more details than it would on a black gun. The shooter looks like a futuristic revolver with prominent fake flashlight and rail mounts. The square revolver cylinder doesn't make much sense at all, but it contributes to the overall pleasing aesthetic. Although the grip is rather thick, the gun is comfortable to hold and even has a support for the pinky finger. The side picture looks nice and clear. I like that there are two support pieces which protect the tall front sight against damage. The trigger relies on a very soft push button switch, which isn't very tactile and almost feels like a rubber dome. On my Wild Things gun, which has seen more use, the trigger switch has been run down, which makes it feel even less tactile. Depending on the extent a game does trigger debouncing, such a one trigger can be misread. Especially in Konami games, I faced issues during testing. The A and B buttons are distributed at the sides of the gun. Sadly, they are quite far at the front, which makes it more difficult to press them. Furthermore, access to them is somewhat impaired by the shape and placement of the pump-action handle. The latter is redundantly mapped to A and relies on a push-button switch at the very end of travel. Therefore, when using the pump-action handle to quickly press and let go of A repeatedly, the full spring force has to be fought constantly, which can become tiring quickly. Personally, I would prefer mini micro-switches, placed less far down travel for pump handles. A is also mapped to another button, which is placed at the handle on an inconvenient location. Typically, the arrangement of the sides suggests a hand placement on the grip for ideal aiming. When holding the gun as I like, the grip button seems to reside between my middle finger and my ring finger. In order to press it with my middle finger, I have to leave the desired hand stance. Start and select are on the left hand side revolver drum. The big circular D-pad below the hammer feels great, and I ended up using it as a substitute for the A button in PS2 games. At the heel of the gun is a slim C button. The push-button switch-based C and handle buttons are noticeably more rigid than the other rubber dome-based buttons. Right next to the A button are the switches for the gun and fire modes. Normal, auto-reload and auto-fire plus auto-reload are the available choices. The default magazine capacity is 6 shots, but it can be reprogrammed by tapping A on a press-down B button. On the heel is a TS socket, which allows the user to connect a foot pedal, which is redundantly mapped to A. Next to the socket is the on-off switch for the force feedback. The feedback is fast but weak. There are dead zones at the bottom and the right-hand side of the screen. While the bottom dead zone is slim and probably won't cause major inconveniences, the one on the right-hand side was an issue at several occasions during playtesting. In all 3 gun modes, accuracy is very good, but precision is just good. Especially along the x-axis, there's some noise. Within the respective gun modes, the main buttons aren't redundantly mapped and do what they state, except for A and B acting as special shot and start respectively in normal gun mode, while leaving the actual start button useless. Overall, I wasn't impressed with the shooter. While it looks nice and performs acceptably, I didn't notice anything the gun excelled at. If you find one for very cheap, you could go far worse, but generally I wouldn't recommend this controller. The box looks nice, but has off-putting white info fields at each side. The back contains a manual section, which I appreciate a lot. The wording of the text is very similar to the one of the X-Shooter, which I have covered before in episode 228. This makes me think that those 2 guns might come from the same Chinese manufacturer. This is the end of the review. My name is Ben. I thank you for viewing.